Okay, so when I start, so the rector of the University of Piraeus, Vice-Rector, member of the board of directors, dear heads of the departments, informatics and digital systems, and head business administration. I made a mistake earlier on, and I'm unforgivable. So I welcome you together with Maria Halkidi to the 7th Summit in Gender Equality in Computing, which is held at the University of Piraeus. We are very honored and happy because this year this very important conference is in our premises. So before we open, I would like to ask our rector, Professor Sfakianakis, University of Piraeus, to give us a greeting.
Αγαπητέ αντιπρίτανοι, έρευνας και Ελένη μου Kyriazis, αγαπητοί πρόεδροι των τμήματων οργάνωσης διοίκησης επιχειρήσεων, πληροφορικής, επομονής πληροφορικής και ψηφιακών συστημάτων, αγαπητέ μέλος του Συμβουλίου Διοίκησης, αγαπητοί κοσμήτωρα, dear guests, είμαι ιδιαίτερα χαρούμενος σήμερα που βρίσκομαι κοντά σας σε ένα συνέδριο που νομίζω ότι είναι ιδιαίτερα σημαντικό για τη στόχευση που έχει. Νομίζω ότι αυτή τη στιγμή οι γυναίκες στην πληροφορική είναι ένα σημαντικό κομμάτι, αποτελούν ένα σημαντικό κομμάτι της πληροφορικής και της εξέλιξής της. Θα αναφέρω τη Ράντια Πέριμαν, η οποία θεωρείται η μητέρα του διαδικτύου. Πολλές γυναίκες οι οποίες έχουν βραβευτεί με βραβείο Τούρινγκ, που είναι το αντίστοιχο Νόμπελ της πληροφορικής. Και επιφανείς γυναίκες και στην Ελλάδα, μία από τις οποίες δεν έχουμε δίπλωμα, στη Μαρία τη Virvou, η οποία είναι μαζί με αρκετές καλεσμένες εδώ πέρα που είναι μπροστά μου, ο πυρήνας της ανάπτυξης της πληροφορικής σήμερα. Εμείς σαν Πανεπιστήμιο θεωρώ ότι έχουμε διακριθεί ιδιαίτερα το κομμάτι της πληροφορικής και δει στην πληροφορική αιχμής. Στο AI αυτή τη στιγμή πιστεύω ότι διακρινόμαστε και μια επιβεβαίωση σε αυτό είναι με βάση τη διεθνοποίηση που πριν από ένα μήνα πήραμε, θα έχουμε το πρώτο κοινό μεταπτυχιακό joint master degree μεταξύ του παιδιού της Αμερικής και του δικού μας ενός Αμερικάνικου και ενός Ευρωπαϊκού Πανεπιστημίου και του Πανεπιστημίου Πειραιώς πάνω σε Applied AI. Και παράλληλα διοργανώνουμε και το μεγάλο διεθνές συνέδριο την επόμενη άνοιξη πάνω σε consciousness at the limits of AI. Συνδιοργανώνουμε με το πεδίο αυτό το συνέδριο. Άρα πιστεύω ότι έχουμε καταδεικνύουμε ότι έχουμε μια μεγάλη συνεισφορά στην ομάδα που χτίζει αυτό το μεταπτυχιακό, νομίζω ότι προβάλλει το παραξιόμονα μας διεθνώς. Κύριο ρόλο παίζει και η κοσμήτωρα της κυρία Virvou, μαζί με τον Δήμο τον Kyriazis, τον Τίμη τον Αλέπη και τον Ηλία τον Μακρογιάννη. Συνεδριάζουμε κάθε εβδομάδα για να μπορεί να χτιστεί αυτό το. Γιατί δεν είναι ένα εύκολο εγχείρημα, είναι ένα πολύ δύσκολο εγχείρημα. Εμείς μπορώ να πω ότι είμαστε πάντα δίπλα στα γυναικεία μυαλά, τα οποία είναι ιδιαίτερα θηλυκά, όπως λέμε, με βάση τον όρο τον επιστημονικό αλλά και τον ουσιαστικό. Και είμαστε χαρούμενοι για αυτό το συνέδριο και που το διοργανώνουμε εδώ στο Πανεπιστήμιό μας και εύχομαι να είναι ιδιαίτερα γόνιμο. Να είστε καλά.
Well, thank you very much, and thank you personally for all the nice, kind words. So I would like to ask Professor Georgios Tsihrintzis from the Board of Directors and also a publications chair for this conference. For a greeting.
Καλημέρα ή καλησπέρα και από εμένα. Καλώς ορίσατε στο Πανεπιστήμιό μας και σε αυτό το σημαντικό συνέδριο που έχουμε τη χαρά και την τιμή να διοργανώνουμε αυτή τη χρονιά στο δικό μας Πανεπιστήμιο υπό την αιγίδα της Σχολής Τεχνολογιών Πληροφορικής και Επικοινωνιών και των δύο τμήματων της πληροφορικής και των ψηφιακών συστημάτων. Ήθελα να αναφέρω ότι όταν ξεκίνησα τις προπτυχιακές σπουδές μου πριν από αρκετές δεκαετίες, δεν υπήρχαν τμήματα πληροφορικής, υπήρχαν μόνο τμήματα ηλεκτρολόγων μηχανικών και μηχανικών υπολογιστών. Ήταν τα συναφέστερα και των μηχανικών ηλεκτρονικών υπολογιστών του Πανεπιστημίου Πατρών. Είχα εισαχθεί στο τμήμα ηλεκτρολόγων μηχανικών του Μεσοβίου Πολυτεχνείου και από τους 80 εισαγόμενους, οι 74 ήταν αγόρια και οι 6 ήταν κορίτσια. Και μάλιστα το δεύτερο έτος, μία από τις 6 κοπέλες αποφάσισε να στραφεί σε κάτι ίσως πιο παραδοσιακό γυναικείο επάγγελμα, την ιατρική. Και μείνανε 5 οι κοπέλες, μόνο 5 συμφοιτήτριες, τους 80 που είχαν εισαχθεί. Ευτυχώς σήμερα είναι πολύ πιο ισορροπημένα τα πράγματα. Η κόρη μας, η μικρότερη, είναι φοιτήτρια στο ίδιο τμήμα και μεταφέρει ότι είναι κάπως πιο ισορροπημένα τα ποσοστά αγοριών-κοριτσιών, αλλά έχουμε ακόμα πολύ δρόμο, κατά τη γνώμη μου, και συνέδρια όπως το σημερινό είναι στην πολύ σωστή κατεύθυνση, γιατί προάγουν την επιστήμη και την τεχνολογία και μεταξύ γυναικών που ακόμα και σήμερα δεν συμμετέχουν στα ποσοστά που θα έπρεπε να συμμετέχουν. Γιατί θέλουμε περισσότερες γυναίκες στην τεχνολογία γενικότερα και στην πληροφορική ειδικότερα, πέρα από το ηθικό της ισότητας των φύλων, υπάρχει και η ανάγκη. Οι θέσεις εργασίας πληροφορικής δεν μπορούν να καλυφθούν, ακόμη και αν όλοι οι απόφοιτοι των τμήματων εργαστούν σε αυτές. Γιατί οι άντρες είναι λίγοι, δεν είναι αρκετοί. Χρειαζόμαστε πιο πολύ πληθυσμό που να ασχοληθεί με αυτά τα αντικείμενα και να εργαστεί αντίστοιχα, και αυτό μπορούμε να το επιτύχουμε μόνο αν ενθαρρύνουμε και τα κορίτσια να ακολουθήσουν αντίστοιχες σπουδές. Θέλω να ευχηθώ καλή επιτυχία στις εργασίες του συνεδρίου και ελπίζουμε ότι η φιλοξενία που θα απολαύσετε από το Πανεπιστήμιό μας θα είναι αντάξια της φήμης και της αξίας αυτού του συνεδρίου. Σας ευχαριστούμε πάρα πολύ για την τιμή και την χαρά να σας έχουμε και ευχόμαστε ό,τι καλύτερο.
Thank you for the greeting. So I would like to call Professor Dimosthenis Kyriazis, Vice-Rector for Research and Lifelong Learning from the University of Piraeus. And thank you very much for all the support, the financial for the both the rector, the vice-rector, the portal.
Shall it be in English or Ellenica?
There are people who do not understand, but
Is there anyone? Sorry, there is at least one. So.
okay.
I would also like to welcome you, the University of Piraeus, the institution that is hosting this quite interesting conference. Let me briefly touch upon the two themes, actually, of the conference, looking at its title. So one relates to computing. Browsing quickly, at least, or to be honest, the conference program, there are several topics quite interesting to be touched. There are several discussions that relate to research aspects. We look forward into discussing and addressing them. We all know, we all witnessed that actually that computing is core, and computing is not anymore a technology. Computing is the basic infrastructure. It's an infrastructure for everyday living. For what we do is fundamental for business and for personal lives. The way we collaborate, the way we interact, discussing about the social dimension of it, is all related to computing and infrastructure. So I think the topic of this conference is broad, but also quite to the topic. The second aspect refers to women, and I think Professor Tsihrintzis already said everything. Now in computing, we have all experienced the following, right? The participation, the leadership, the recognition of women is not, let's say, at the level we would expect it to be. But we are also all experiencing the change, right? Things are changing, more and more women are into computing, and I think that's what's happening today. Not only that, we also urge into it. I mean that we're developing plans. We have the gender equity plan in the university. We have the committee that aims at that. So there are also several initiatives, several efforts to that direction. So I think this is a quite interesting conference. It's the first time we are asked, to give ourselves opening remarks on the topic that relates to women in computing, but I think it's very interesting and we look forward into it. We wish you success to your conference today and the day after, and to have lively discussions with interesting results. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much, Timo, and I would like to ask Professor Efthimios Alepis, head of the Department of Informatics, for a greeting.
Καλησπέρα σε όλους. Θα κάνω και εγώ ένα χαιρετισμό στα αγγλικά. Good afternoon. It's a privilege and honor to stand before you today at the opening of the 7th ACM Summit on Gender Equality in Computing. This summit, the ACM Celebration of Women in Computing, is more than just a conference. It is a vital platform. It's a space where we come together to celebrate the remarkable achievements of women in technology, to acknowledge the progress we have made, and crucially, to confront the challenges that still stand in your way towards true gender equality in computing. For decades, women have been at the forefront of innovation, from Ada Lovelace's pioneering work in algorithms to the hidden figures who powered space exploration, and to the countless women today shaping AI, software engineering, cybersecurity, data science, and every facet of the digital world. Their contributions are undeniable, foundational, and often historically underrepresented. This summit is a testament to their legacy and a commitment to ensuring that future contributions are not just recognized, but actively fostered. This summit is a collective opportunity to address these issues head-on. Each conversation, each shared experience, Each new connection forged here contributes to the powerful ripple effect that will drive meaningful change. The Department of Informatics of the University of Piraeus is a department with a strong position in the Greek international scientific events. It is operating since 1991 and is one of the oldest IT departments in Greece. Let me note that Professor Maria Virvou, our current dean, has served as head of our department for many years. All women in our department are very successful in their research fields. Our department has also the honor to invite Professor Eleni Stroulia to this event. The future of computing is not just about technological advancement. It's about building a future that is equitable, inclusive, and reflective of all humanity. Thank you for being here, for your dedication, and for your unwavering commitment to this crucial cause. I wish you all a truly impactful and inspiring event. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I would like to ask Professor Georgios Efthymoglou from the head of the Department of Digital Systems to come for a greeting.
Good afternoon. It is with great pleasure to also welcome you to our university. We are honored to host this event here in Piraeus. I believe that it is a great idea to promote and celebrate the professional work of women in the fields of science and engineering. In the digital era we live in, we continuously collect data about many human activities, including participation in athletics and higher education. This data usually present the percentage of participation for the two genders. This is important in order to track the values of such quality indicators as the years go by. It's well known, it was said earlier, and it will be said during the summit, so the percentage of women in the fields of science and engineering is low. For example, I can speak for the Department of Digital Systems. There are 4 very active, I'm not saying it is true by all means, women faculty and 20 men. That is only 16.67% of the faculty in my department is women. Also, in the new students that enter the department every year, approximately 25% is women, and I've said for the past 3 years. Therefore, I think it is imperative to initiate and participate in actions and events like this summit that will inform, inspire, and motivate women to work with high-tech issues. Actually, this is important to happen even before young women come to the university, while they are still at school, by organizing student science competitions and giving talks about the academic and professional careers related to science and engineering. Of course, this is a global issue for high-tech companies and academia. There are women with high-quality work and making big impact in their fields. I know in my telecommunications, we have a lot of well-known women that have been there for 30 years, and new are coming up. But as a percentage of the total employees and faculty, the number of women in this field is still small. I will also bring up something that happened recently, and I was reminded of because of the summit. Recently, during a visit to a high-tech company here in Piraeus, we had a meeting where all company representatives, except the human resources lady, were men. In this meeting, there was a talk among the members of the company, engineers, all mostly with PhDs, studied either in Soviet or in England. And the company wanted to award a scholarship to the department. And the members of the company had a talk whether a scholarship should be awarded to a young woman when there are 2 or 3 applicants with almost equal qualifications, because of the fact that the participation numbers indicate that it is harder for a woman to excel in the high technology field. and there were, a small debate among men. At the end, the company decided that they wanted to award the scholarship to a woman. So they, at the end, they were very happy with the CV and the interview that they had with a young woman that ranked first and was awarded the scholarship. In the academic scholarships we offer to our students in our graduate programs, we do not take the applicant's gender into account. Of course, a lot of women do excel and they get scholarships. You can check the records, and I know that because they're very good students. But maybe it's time to establish scholarships just for young women. To conclude, I feel that the aim of the summit is really important. The timing is very good. It is great that all of you highly accomplished professionals are here to present and talk, present very interesting topics and discuss this issue. And at the same time, inspire and motivate young women, students and researchers into following your steps. We all agree 100% with the summit's purpose and are honored that it takes place here at the University of Piraeus. Enjoy the summit.
Well, thank you very much, George. And now I would like to ask the woman who is chairing this chapter of ACM, Professor Maria Roussou, and we had been together in San Francisco in a very big event like this, and we had seen how much how important it was for the whole of the United States. Really, there were and Canada. There were about 1,000 women there, and many companies, all of the big ones, together to try to persuade and inspire new scientists, because there are so many problems in a woman's life that keep her behind. Families, women with having children. I personally have 3 children. All of them were born while I was a professor here, and unfortunately we didn't have our rector who is now encouraging so much. We had other people then, and I didn't take any day of leave for 3 born children. Not one day. I was just having babies and coming back to work very hard and have the children. But fortunately, I had a very good husband who's very supportive, and he's here with all of us, Georgios, Tsihrintzis, and I had a very supportive family. But these are not just problems which are imaginary. They are real. And we really want women to be able to have their families and also be able to have a good career. And having said that, we have the poster chair, Konstantina Sfakianakis, who's not here today because she's pregnant and she has some difficulties. So Maria Roussou, and please welcome her.
Thank you very much for this very warm welcome. Kalispera. I will continue in English. Indeed, in 2018, we traveled together to San Francisco with Maria Virvou and Georgios to attend this event that was organized by ACM-W, or ACM, I think, at large, and CRA, the Computing Research Association of the United States and Canada. And this was the impetus. This gave us the seed to start the ACM-W chapter in Greece. So we've been here since 2018. I have a small presentation for those of you who do not know the history of our chapter, and I will show you a bit of what we have done. This is our flagship event, the Gender Equality in Computing. It's the 7th edition. We started right away after we established our chapter. So we are very happy that it has now grown and is being organized by teams all around Greece and Cyprus, so the Greek community at large, and this gives us a lot of hope. Can we have some help here? Thank you. How do we change the presentation? So for those of you who do not know what ACM is, it's the Association of Computing Machinery. It's been around since the 1940s. It is the largest community of computer scientists in the world. We have the honor of having a chair of ACM, the president, who is Greek, Yannis Ioannidis, Professor Ioannidis. So that is a big honor also for the whole country, obviously. Now, ACM has chapters around the world, and also ACM has the section for women, ACM-W. Being a member of ACM-W is free, there's no cost, and of the chapters as well, so you are encouraged to become a member. I will show you later. Yes, I already talked about ACM, more than 100,000 members around the world in 170 countries and more, and ACM-W supports and celebrates and advocates the role of women and their involvement in the computing field. So our chapter has this address, acmw-gr.acm.org. Please visit it and you will see how to become a member. We established it right after our trip to San Francisco that Professor Virvou mentioned before, with other colleagues who, some of them are here today, 43 founding members, and today we number 224 members, and you can see the officers, the committee here, and I'd like to thank them all and acknowledge them for all of this volunteer work that has been going on for so many years now. What are our goals? To the provision of gender equal access to the computer-related field, encouragement of women, but also all genders to achieve their professional goals and excel in their careers, and a fair and equal celebration and dissemination of the achievement of both women and men. So that's why you will see also in our poster session, it is not excluding men. We have young people, all genders, being represented here and giving them the platform to present their work and to become exposed to this kind of work and to really support this equality. I'm not going to go into the statistics. Things have gotten better, but we still have a long way to go. Our chapter organizes celebrations and events like this one, and networking and other activities. In education, we try to raise awareness through various events at schools and at conferences and summer schools and winter schools like these. These are a bit older, so I will skip through them as to not tire you. And I will just go to our flagship event, as I just mentioned. 6 editions up till this one. This is the 7th. We started in 2019, and 1 winter school as well. We started in 2019. That was before COVID. So the event was so successful that we didn't expect more than 100 people to come, as they did at the University of Athens. It took place. It was so successful that we had to even cut the sandwiches in half during the coffee breaks, the lunch break, because we were there were not enough for everyone to have a bite during our lunch break. We had a poster session, which was, we started with that and we have continued and kept that all along because it was very successful as well. It gave the opportunity to young people to show their work at all levels, undergraduate, graduate, postgraduate, even young researchers who have their degrees, keynote speakers, and we are grateful also to ACM for supporting us through the Distinguished Speakers Program. So we were able to bring speakers from abroad, and we continued that. And today you have brought a speaker from abroad, and we are looking forward to hearing from her through the support of the university. In any case, ACM can support us in some activities like that as well. Panels, and we continued this model throughout the pandemic. 2020, it was online. 2021, the University of West Attica, unfortunately, it had to go online. It was very successful. Nevertheless, one good thing with online meetings is that they are very accessible to all. So there was a large attendance. Unfortunately, didn't give us though the opportunity to network. The first post-pandemic summit took place in Thessaloniki. It was a hybrid one. This was extremely successful. It had more than 130 live participants and about 70 who attended. It was a hybrid event from afar. Again, 2 exciting days of many different talks, etc. In 2023, it came back to Athens at the Athens University of Economics and Business. Professor Kalogeraki organized it there. Again, the same model with our posters and talks and panels. And last year, we moved to Cyprus. Trying to include the Greek community in computing at large. And Georgios was the chair of last year's Gender Equality in Computing Conference. Again, talks and panels and various events until today. So we're very happy that you are hosting it, and we thank you for the wonderful job that you have done, because there's a lot of behind the scenes work that leads up to this. To these 2 days, and it's all volunteer work. And I must say that we've been meeting once a month with the committee and the organizers, and we have been doing it for all of these years. Now this year, as a chapter, we established a Distinguished Service Award, just because this is all volunteer work, and it's a lot of work, and we ought to recognize it. And we want to honor the individuals who have made these contributions and recognize their exceptional service. Unfortunately, this year, Panayota Fatourou could not be with us. She has been the chair of the chapter until early 2025, since its beginning. So thus, and for all of the work that she has done, we would like to recognize her. She is in Mexico at a conference. So she is excused. Professor Fatourou from the University of Crete has also been the past chair of the ACM Europe Council. That's quite an honorable position to have. And she is an elected member of that council since 2015. And she is one of the founding members and the past chair, as I said, of ACM-W. You can still participate. You can view the talks and the sessions of the previous Gender Equality in Computing summits, or most of them, on our YouTube channel. tinyurl.com, gr-ACM-W, or just visit our website and you can find it there. We have recorded almost all of the sessions for most of the Gender Equality and Computing summits and created this archive because we want this knowledge to continue and be accessible to all. So please visit our website, follow us. Well, Twitter is not anymore. I have to update that. LinkedIn, though, we continue to have a presence on LinkedIn. You can email us if you want, and you can become a member. It's free, as I said, and that way you can be informed about, remain informed about our activities. Thank you so much. I'm looking forward to everything that's going to happen.
So we have been left a little bit behind, so I will not really say a lot more. We have said quite a lot about this event, and I just wanted to say that it is very important because this is voluntary work, and we really want to inspire new scientists, women, but men are not excluded, and in fact we are very grateful to men in this university who helped us, and a lot of men who have helped us, especially with carrying all these things. It was men that actually did that, so no women without men could do something like this. So we really thank all the sponsors of this event, and they have their own table in the room of where we are going to have the breaks and the lunch break tomorrow. It's Oracle, Unisys, and Net Company, and you can meet some people from these companies, especially for students who want to connect. There are these people there, and also we have the settings for the posters, which you can visit during the break, the coffee break, which is going to be after the keynote. Our keynote is here, and she's going to give us a talk very soon. And also, we would like to thank the people who worked very hard. Manolis is one of them, who's supporting us a lot. He's a postdoctoral researcher, and he's also a member of the team that worked for this conference. I'd like to thank the departments, the Department of Informatics and the Department of Digital Systems, as well as the university that provided a lot of support in various ways. And of course, I would like to thank my co-chair, Maria Halkidi, who has been also a graduate from our from our department as well. So it's great to see that our graduates are becoming professors, and they now organize events. So it has been very nice to have organized all this. I would like to thank Maria Roussou for all this hard work, all these years, for supporting this chapter. It has been, although she was not the chair until now, she's always there. So we appreciate your work, and we appreciate the work of other women who have been in the steering committee, and we have had a lot of discussions. They're all wonderful. They're all very good scientists, I have to say. So there may not be a lot, but the quality is very good. It's very high. Okay, so I would like to wish you all a very a very productive conference and enjoy Piraeus while you are here. So thank you very much. We're going to go to the unless Maria wants to say something.
I want to thank you that you're coming today. I want to welcome to our university. It was an honor to organize this event and cooperate with Professor Maria Virvou. This summit aims to celebrate women in computing, and it brings together students, professionals, and academics. So also I would like to thank all of you that you are here, our speakers, participants, and the people that help us to organize this event, our sponsors, of course. And I would like to wish a very productive summit, and I hope to enjoy our today programs. Thank you very much.
Well, before we start the keynote, I just wanted to say that we have arranged for extended versions of these posters to be published in a series of Springer book. So we would invite whoever is interested in sending an extended version of the poster that they have, and this is something that Professor Tsihrintzis and I, as well as Professor Lakmi Jain, have done in the past as well. We have had a special issue on Intelligent Decision Technologies journal, inviting women in AI to present their work there. And also we have had the advances in selected artificial intelligence areas, which was also dedicated to women authors in AI, which is again something that we do in light of this inspiring and facilitating publication for women. But as Maria said, no men are excluded, of course, and we are very happy that men support us, and we can all be in a very collaborative mood together. So thank you very much for this, and I would like to present now our keynote, who's Eleni Stroulia, and let us change the presentation. Manoli, if you can. So, are you? Okay, I will be presenting Eleni. Professor Eleni Stroulia is a full professor and active vice dean of the Faculty of Science Department of Computing Science, University of Alberta, Canada. So she has been here all the way from Canada, and now finding her keynote. realized. You gone?
No.
Thinking. Ah. Okay, so Dr. Eleni Stroulia is a professor. She has been from 2011 to 2016. She held the NSCRC Industrial Research Chair on Service Systems Management with IBM. Her research adopts AI and machine learning methods to address real-world problems in health and engineering. She has played leadership roles in the Ground Age Well and several programs of excellence. And she has secured more than 4 million in funding as a sole investigator and has supervised more than 100 trainees who have gone forward to academic and industrial careers. Since 2021, she has been serving as the acting vice dean of the Faculty of Science. Professor Stroulia is a very successful woman who has started her career from Greece and is now many years in Canada. And we are very honored and happy to have you here, Eleni.
We're almost there, so I'll start by saying that it is my pleasure and honor to be here, to be invited by the excellent colleague and friend Maria Virvou, to meet all friends and colleagues and make new acquaintances and become part of this few but mighty group of women in Greece. I would love to come back to Greece, so what a great opportunity it is for me. So I think we're getting close. Can you?
Full screen.
Yes. So, and a computing science person in the room? We have to make this joke every time we fight with projectors and laptops and presentations. So I'll start with the background. So I come from the University of Alberta. It's in Edmonton, Canada. I'll show you a map. It's in a faraway place, but it has been home for me for the past 28 years. And it is a beautiful place for any of you who are considering doing studies abroad. I'll tell you a little bit about two projects that I have been involved with recently in the past few years, and I'll try to draw some similar themes, even though these two projects are from different disciplines. So, how do I do that? Okay, so that's Canada, and I don't know why I'm doing this wrong. No. This one, good, and it works. It doesn't advance. Let me see if the arrow works. Okay, the arrow works. So that's Edmonton, and that's the University of Alberta. A few cool things about the University of Alberta. We have a whole lot of people that have been recognized with being members of the Royal Academy, Royal Society of Canada, being inducted to the Order of Canada, or holding special research chairs. We have quite substantial research funding, and we have been recognized as being top in many contexts, among them top 2 in North America in AI and top 5 in Canada in computing science. And this is the tourist slide for any of you considering studies abroad. It's a gorgeous place on the Rockies. So it's worth visiting and spending some time there.
Let me know if you want an invitation for any kind of work at the U of A. So here's what I plan to do today. I'll give you a little bit of the background context in which this work, the research that I have been doing in the last few years has been taking place, basically talking about the technical background that is necessary for these projects to happen. Then I'll talk about two different projects. One is in health and the other is in construction. And even though these two areas are fundamentally different in terms of the impact they have in the world, they share many commonalities in the research methodologies that must be adopted to address the problems we're interested in. And then as we have done this work, we have experienced a fundamental similar challenge that we are starting to work with yet another solution. So what is the context? The context is that we live in a world that is fundamentally interconnected, and we have the ability to change the world because right now, everything has sensors that emit information about how things work. So our streets are embedded with sensors that measure the speed of cars. Many of us are wearing wearables that emit information about heart rate, oxygenation, steps, not only about our physical bodies, but also our behaviors. Cars are connected, and we have ad hoc vehicular networks and so on and so forth. There are a multi-gazillion different types of networks. The information goes to a global cloud infrastructure that seems to be unlimited in terms of storage and computational power. And all this analysis and all this information can come back to our fingertips through a variety of informations, mobiles, laptops, fancy screens that allow interaction, and so on and so forth. Now, the key thing that a fundamental advance, scientific advance, is the fact that right now the data that is sitting on the cloud is analyzed through powerful machine learning algorithms. So the data is being exploited to develop a variety of hypotheses on how the world works, and these hypotheses can be used to improve our behaviors and even control the world in a way that will make our processes more efficient and more effective. So this is where we live. And the sensors observe pretty much live organisms and engineering structures. And this is the key enabler of the two projects that I want to talk about. The first project is about using machine learning to understand the cognitive status of older adults. Basically, we want to understand whether people are cognitively intact or whether they might be experiencing symptoms of mild cognitive decline or possibly Alzheimer's dementia in more progressed cases. On the other hand, we're interested in managing complex buildings, like, for example, the new building that our department will move into. Both of these projects rely on the existence of sensor data, rely on the availability of powerful machine learning algorithms that can actually predict the status of a building or predict a particular data point in the future. So let's talk a little bit about dementia. So here is the fundamental intuition is that many mental and cognitive health conditions manifest themselves in speech. So pretty much every neurological condition, as in Parkinson's or schizophrenia or dementia, people who suffer from these conditions exhibit a lower, slower speech, more disfluency, as in longer pauses, looking for words, so basically logopenia. It's kind of funny when I can't say logopenia and everybody, like, people do not know how to pronounce these words, so I'm one step ahead with my colleagues. So all of these phenomena are easily manifested in our speech as we decline, and in fact, the way medical doctors, clinicians assess whether somebody suffers from any of these conditions is through interviews. So language and speech is an ecologically valid way of assessing health status, and now we can actually use machine learning on speech to try to do this automatically. Not so much to substitute for the diagnosis, but rather to be able to have indicators of possible decline earlier, such that we can recommend the services of clinicians to people and address their conditions earlier. So that's the goal. The goal is to be able to detect hints of decline as soon as possible. How do we do this work? There is a global group of researchers that works in this field, and all of this work is sort of organized around challenges. So every year there is a data set that is being shared with researchers in the area, and this data set is also presented with a benchmark performance metric, typically accuracy. So in 2020, we participated in the Address Challenge, which was based on the Pittsburgh dementia data set. And basically what the data set is in English. And for every person, we have one speech sample. And we have people who are healthy controls and people who suffer from Alzheimer's dementia. So a little bit on the data set, the way that you're actually getting evaluated for these conditions is typically they're giving you a picture to describe. And this is the famous GEC'25 picture. And we had 108 people describing this picture. Of those, 48 were held as the test set. So basically the way the challenges works is they give you the data set. And in this case, the data set is 60 speech samples of people describing this picture. And we researchers do the best we can to learn a machine learning model that will correctly classify people as having or not dementia, and also estimate the degree to which a score, a number, the degree to which they suffer from dementia. So you do all this work ahead of time, and then the challenge organizers give you the other 48 samples. You apply your algorithm to the 48 samples, and you send the results in, and then the organizers tell you how well you did on these 48 samples that you have not seen before. So here is an interesting thing here. We have what is interesting to remember is the distribution of healthy controls versus people who suffer from dementia. So we have the average score of people who suffer from dementia was 17, and the healthy controls was 29. Now the range of values is from 0 to 30, and as you can see, 17 is pretty low. So we have a good distribution of examples of people with dementia, which is not always the case. Okay, so that's the data set. And what did we do? Now, when you get the speech samples, the first thing you do is you extract features. And there are many standard feature sets that the community is working with. And in fact, we have been working primarily with 3. So standard feature sets, these are all based on exhaustive analysis of the speech signal. As you can see, we started with AVEC 2013. That was the first challenge we participated. It was it was focusing on depression. So I'm not going to talk about depression here. We're only talking about Alzheimer's. But basically, depression also can be detected from speech. So there is a feature set that has 2,200 dimensions, another one with 63 and 65. This basically means for every segment of audio, you can calculate 2,000, 6,000 features. And of those, you can calculate low-level descriptors, which are basically more summary features that are 76, 130, and 120, 112. So basically, there's a plethora of features that you can extract. And so the second step that you have to do is to basically throw away most of them and figure out what you need to keep. And there are many ways of selecting what to keep. You need to retain features that are predictive of the condition that you want to predict, and you want to minimize redundancy. So there are many techniques for feature selection. In this particular case, we used PCA for dimensionality reduction. And in addition to these acoustic features, we also extracted length of pauses. So when people do you measure how long these pauses are, how frequent, how tight they are with each other, and also some linguistic features, basically calculating how many different words they use, what is the richness of the language that they use. So once you have all these features, then you do 2 machine learning models typically. The first one is classification, recognizing whether somebody is a healthy control or suffers from Alzheimer's dementia. And the second level of analysis is recognizing the actual score that they have on the MMSE instrument. MMSE is the standard way of evaluating Alzheimer's dementia. So in order to figure out, in order to explore the space of possible models, we did two things. You use sound features and linguistic features to do classification. And there are a variety of machine learning algorithms that you can use to do classification with each of these features, and the same for regression. So this table here describes which algorithms we used for which combination of feature types and tasks, machine learning tasks. Now you can see here there are many algorithms, and for those of you who are playing with machine learning, you probably realize that there are many parameters that each of these algorithms needs to be configured. So essentially what we're doing here is a search in a multidimensional design space where we're trying to figure out which combination works best for the particular problem. So what do we find? This is some results on what works best. So our results basically say, so the first table is about classification, recognizing whether you do have or not Alzheimer's dementia. The second table is about predicting the specific MMSE score. In both tables, the best numbers were obtained by linguistic features. So basically language, the richness of language is much more important than the sound of your speech in predicting dementia. So that's good news, bad news, because basically the bad news is that if it is language specific, then we cannot do it for multiple languages, which is something that we ideally want. At the same time, the good news is the degree to which the accuracy that you get. Accuracy is at the 80% for classification, and the RMSE score is 6-ish. Both of these numbers are competitive with the benchmark, slightly better. So basically, for this competition, we were as good as what the organizers said. And the best combinations were ensembles. Basically, we put together multiple machine learning algorithms. We put together the predictions for multiple algorithms, and we got the scores. And the ensembles, both in the classification, were just linguistic features, and the regression was with, let me think, no. For classification, we used the best linguistic algorithm plus 3 acoustic algorithms. They made a slight improvement. So the acoustic features did a little bit better than just language. And for regression, it was just language that gave us these results. So I think I talked about the lessons learned. Good news is 80% accuracy is pretty decent. Basically, it means that this would be a decent signal for somebody to be recommended to refer to a clinician, but it's not very exciting that language is the key tool because it's not language independent. The next challenge was in 2024 that we participated in. And obviously the world is moving and everybody's looking for language agnostic algorithms. So in fact, for this work, we participated in the challenge with Greek colleagues. We were not successful in being selected, and we redid this work more recently, and that's the paper I'm citing here. Now, in this work, it's interesting because we have 3 samples per person, not only 1 picture, let me show you, and the dementia was not as pronounced. So let me show you what the data set was. We have English and Chinese samples. In both of these, for each individual, looked at 3 pictures. So here are the 3 pictures in the English data set. In the Chinese data set, they had 3 similar, basically there were Chinese themed pictures of tiger in the jungle. So basically this means that if you have different pictures, the language is completely different. You cannot even do translation from one to the other. And the other thing that I want to point out here is look at the averages. The mean of the MCI participants was 25. 25 is pretty high. It's very mild dementia. The previous mean was 17. So basically the distinction between healthy controls and people with Alzheimer's dementia was much more pronounced in the previous data set. This one is kind of messy. It's not as clear. And obviously the regression is much more challenging because everybody's kind of on the high spectrum of the numbers. We had many more samples here, many more participants. And what did we do? So the other thing here is that the previous data set was very clean. We had only the person, the participant speaking, and we had a very clean transcript that actually had highlighted the disfluency features. So the transcript itself had pauses. You could see in the transcript the word This was not as clean. Basically, we had the whole interview of the person talking to the participant saying, here's the picture, tell us what you see. And the participant sometimes prompted the person because in the more pronounced dementia cases, the person wouldn't say anything. So the interviewer would say, what do you see here? What is this? So the first thing we need to do is we need to actually extract the transcript of the participant, and that's diarization. So basically split the interviewer for the participant, and then segment the speech of the participant into meaningful utterances, where in the previous example, all of this was done for us. So then we had to extract these fluency features, and basically we did that with Keynote also. And now we don't do language analysis, we don't look at the words, but there is a bag of audio words which basically looks at frequently occurring sequences of phonemes. So instead of actually looking at the words and recognizing them, what the method does is basically looking at small segments, sound sonograms if you want, that repeat the same shape multiple times. For all of you who are doing Duolingo, does anyone do Duolingo here? Good, thanks. So Duolingo gives you this sonogram of the word, and you can see the shape of the word in the sound. This is what bag of audio words does. Extracts these shapes, frequently occurring shapes. So this is a signal of how rich the language of the person is, even though you don't understand what they're saying. So we cannot see if they're saying, cat instead of tiger, but we can see that they have more words. Participants who are healthy controls tend to have more variety of words than participants who suffer from MCI. In addition, we have demographic features, basically age, gender, and language. In some other, we do not have education level. In addition, at that time, we used ChatGPT-4 to extract acoustic and semantic encodings through these features. To be completely honest, what you do here is you get some features that are kind of black boxy. We do not know if they're correct, but we do know that they're systematic. So basically, through systematic prompting, you extract some additional features for the audio segments that you have from the participants. So note that these features are quite different from the features we had before, both because we had to clean up the audio and because we did not have language. Similarly, again, you end up with lots of features, you need dimensionality reduction. In this case, we used the maximum relevancy, minimum redundancy methodology for selecting 100, 150, 200, and 250 features. So basically, instead of PCA, there is another methodology for selecting a number of features that are best associated with the labels that we want to predict. And it turns out that for cross-validation, for classification, the 100 features work best, the 100 most important ones, and for regression, the 250 features work best. And what was best? These are some numbers from this result. Now you will notice here that we don't report accuracy, we report unweighted average recall, which is basically because the classes are so different from each other, so we have very unbalanced data set. In order to, here's the problem. If you have an unbalanced data set, let's say that you have 100 people with dementia and 20 people that are healthy controls. You can do no processing at all and say that everybody has dementia. And you will be quite accurate because most of the people have dementia. But you will be completely wrong for all the people who are healthy controls. In order to take into account both kinds of problems equally, you have the unweighted average recall weighs both classes the same. If you don't do the unweighted, you can be highly accurate just because your data set is unbalanced. So the problem here is that, okay, we have these other numbers, and you can see the best numbers are 65, 66. The previous best numbers were in the 80s. So 80 sounds better than 66, but these data sets are very different, and the sample was very different, and the distribution of the numbers is very different. So it's kind of impossible to compare how good this method is relative to the previous one. Nevertheless, 66 and the RMSE is quite small, 2.7. Given the fact that the range of values is 30 is pretty good. The other thing that I want to point out is that random forest seems to be pretty robust. It's always working reasonably well, and we have had the same experience with the studies on depression we have done. So the news here is good in that, even though the numbers are not 80%, this is completely language agnostic. It works for English and Chinese. And the next step is, so the machine learning model that we developed was the same for both English or Chinese. We did not actually do language recognition. But there are tools that you can use in order to recognize whether something is English or Greek or Chinese or whatever. And therefore, theoretically, you can specialize the models on a per language basis. Even though you don't understand the language necessarily, you can train post facto for language. And this is what we're working on right now. So this is good news, even though not particularly as good as we would like them to be. And that's our work on Alzheimer's dementia. And what was the work? The work was lots of data sets, very different, differently in balance, with different features, with different needs for cleaning up, and slightly different outcomes using pretty similar machine learning algorithms and fairly similar parameterization of these algorithms. So switching gears, I'm going to talk about smart building management. So I'll give you a little bit of the final answer. What do these have in common? So both our bodies and buildings are teleological organisms. We're designed to perform some functions. We have rather complex internal behaviors, and in both cases, the sensor equipment that we have can give us observations that are highly meaningful on whether we function well or not. So listening to my voice might give you an indicator of whether I suffer from Alzheimer's dementia, or maybe just jet lag, or maybe other issues. Same as looking at the numbers of temperature and the HVAC system of a building can tell you whether the building is behaving appropriately. So the HVAC system is very, most buildings, most commercial buildings are complex cyber-physical systems. They have a variety of mechanical systems, HVAC being the most complex one, that have a ton of sensors and a ton of set points that control their function. And as they function, they meet a very long and dense data stream of information. So there has been a lot of work on figuring out whether the HVAC system works properly, and there are three different categories of work. The first one is the classical rule-based systems. So essentially in older buildings, if you saw a combination of high temperature and low set point of the thermostat, you knew that some valve was leaking. And these were the rules that were used for maintenance. In the world of machine learning, data-driven methods offer the opportunity to actually have more fine granularity of diagnosis. And of course, there's always gray box methods that combine the two. What we want to do is we want to do data-driven detection of HVAC problems. Again, in this field, we have a variety of benchmark data sets, and they have been produced by simulated distant twin from the Lawrence Livermore lab. And they have given us a variety of different data sets with different subsystems and different time periods and different types of faults. So we have worked with 3 data sets. And the difference is whether the HVAC covers multiple zones of a building or one multi-zone, single zone. And the second difference is whether the air volume system that pumps air into the building is constant or variable. So we have these 3 data sets, and you can see that the first one has 272,000 data points, of which 230,000 are faulty. In all cases, the majority of the data points are faulty, but the types of faults vary. So the first big data set has only one type of fault, and the others are smaller, but they have more different types of faults. So what did we do here? We developed pretty much the same thing. We developed a pipeline for cleaning up the data and selecting the proper set of features, deciding in the previous challenges, the decision on how to split the data in test and training and test was done by the organizer, so we didn't decide it. But it turns out this is a hugely important decision, and when you get a single integrated data set, you have to decide how to split it. So that's what we did. Then we constructed a variety of models, and then we looked at how they work. And again, how they work, there are a multi-gazillion ways of evaluating performance. So in terms of pre-processing, you have to extrapolate missing values, and there are multiple ways of extrapolating. You can either create an average of recent values around a window of missing values, or you can take a value in the future and propagate it into the past. Standardization of the ranges, all of these numbers are all over the place, but in order not to have artifacts of the size of the numbers, you want to have them all standardized so that the mean is 0 and the standard deviation is 1, or some such methodology. Now, all of these data points have a timestamp, and the timestamp moves across days, across, they usually come with 1 minute or 5 minute windows. And what you want to capture in the timestamp is essentially the periodicity. So if something goes wrong always in the early afternoon at high heat values, you want to have the timestamps that are all in the early afternoon being similar. So what you do is one-hot encoding, and instead of having the complete timestamp, you have a property that says, essentially you simplify the hour to be 1 hour in the afternoon. I don't think I'm explaining this properly. So the timestamp is a long number, and you don't want to have long numbers. You want to have a combination of binary values, or a combination of constants, let's say. So all the timestamps that are from 3 to 4 will share the same, 3-4 p.m. will have the same value on the hour attribute of the timestamp. Well, clear as mud, maybe. And the last thing is to make sure that the 11:59 p.m. and the 12 a.m. Are close to each other, so you do sine cosine transformations for that. Feature engineering. There are many things that you want to do in feature engineering before you even do dimensionality reduction. Interesting things is that you want to capture, you want to abstract the specific values for every minute into windows. And you want to also keep track of how the recent past impacts current values. So these are the lag feature and rolling window properties. PCA, again, is used for dimensionality reduction. In this field, they also use PCA. Related literature has told us that PCA can be used to enhance, amplify the weight of some features. Now, the data splitting is interesting here. Now, you have a phenomenon that goes over in time, and in principle, you would like to do time series analysis, which basically means that you have to take the whole data set and split it, let's say, in 5 segments, and then train the system in the past to predict the future, which basically means that you do not have as many opportunities to train, because if you have 5 segments, the last 5th segment is not useful as training because you can only predict it. So the other way of doing things is that you pretend that every particular value contains all the information that's necessary for its diagnosis, and you do stratified splitting. So you take all the data points and you consider them as independent, especially since you have enhanced them with lab features and rolling windows. So you have captured some of the recent past into every data point. And then you do stratified splitting, which basically means that you split it in 5 or 10 folds, however many you want to do cross-validation. And every one of these folds is self-similar to the complete data set. Now, stratified data splits gives you more opportunity for training than time series, but we thought that time series was the right way of doing it. Model construction, pretty standard algorithms, and model evaluation. We experimented here with many more metrics. So let me tell you what we found. The first one is which features are the best ones. And we tried a variety of combinations of features on the biggest data set that we got, with both stratified and time series fold generation. So what you want to do is you want to have standard features and evaluate their performance in all possible conditions. And through this process, we identified a combination that seems, there are 3 combinations that look pretty much the same, F4, 5, and 6. Excuse me. F4 is slightly better, and it includes one hot encoding, median imputation, and I'll tell you what the next is in the next slide. So basically, now that we have identified the best feature set, we try to figure out what is the best algorithm and the best folds. So here, so we tried this feature set with all 3 data sets. We decided that feature set on the biggest, but then we applied it on all 3 data sets. And we found similar phenomena on all 3 data sets, which basically see here that random forest with stratified splitting is very accurate, and fully connected neural network is close. In all of the cases, time series splitting was not good, primarily because there was not enough training data, and we felt that stratified is good enough. And the last one is basically putting it everything together. So median imputation, correlated attribute addition, and one hot encoding was the best feature set. After that, we used stratified data splitting, then using random forest and fully connected neural network as the algorithms results in all cases with an F1 score close to 1. So this is the best combination after all the experiments that we did in that domain. So by now, I should have given you enough hints on what these things have to do together. Basically, we're talking about the same computing problem. We have a whole bunch of data. They're coming fast and furious. They are very numerical, and there are just too many features that can be extracted. And many of them, you have missing values, and you have a variety of different kinds of labels, different metrics that are evaluated. So you have a very complex experimental design space. The task can be either classification or regression. The condition can be any number of folds. So in the first paper that I described, we had a very distinct Alzheimer's versus healthy control. The second paper had a very mixed, mild cognitive impairment versus healthy control. So the difference was not as big. So the fault was not as pronounced. Same thing with the 3 data sets in the building. In some cases, the fault was only 1 with slight variations. In other cases, they were very different. The data points can be, again, coming from different measurements, and you want to combine them and sort of align them to the same scale. And this is part of the problem. The lower level is the solution space. So the choices that we make with respect to algorithms, how you do feature selection, how do you choose how do you choose to split the input? So in the first problems, we had to decide whether we're doing analysis on an utterance, on a full sentence, or we're doing it on Windows. In the building problem, we had to do analysis on the hour, or on a day basis, or a more grander scheme. So all of these decisions are pretty similar, and there are too many parameters. So in order, how do you know how this becomes real? We did this work for research for challenge data sets, but we're actually doing it now for real in the real world. We have a building and we have bought a whole lot of sensors. This is the building that will be moving. Actually, my lab is moving today. And it is a 100-year-old building that got a new extension. So it's pretty cool, actually. The back building is the 100-year-old, and the shiny glass thing is the extension. Our department is going to move there, and we have instrumented it with occupancy sensors, heat temperature sensors. We have bought a battery, we have solar panels, and we have a microgrid controller that decides which energy source to use when. Turns out that I do not know how buildings pay for energy here, but in Canada you pay based on the peak. So mid-July, full HVAC is gonna drive the energy very high, and this peak from the average, that's what decides the bill. So if you can actually control the peak and keep the peak a bit lower, you save a lot of money, and that's what we have promised our university. At the same time, we're building a platform that we're developing for seniors with a variety of games for cognitive training, and we're using the machine learning methodology as an assessment instrument. So this research should move into the real world, but what's the problem? Like, how can you do that? When you do research and you send stuff to a challenge, well, I mean, you submit it, okay, you get some numbers, you get publication or not. But in order to do that for real, you really need software engineering. You need all of these things to be, we have code that is in Pandas and Jupyter notebooks. This is not real software. It cannot be deployed in the real world. So how do you do that? We discovered Luigi. Luigi is a software framework that was developed by Spotify. And I'm glad, I was just so excited when we discovered it. Basically, here's what you do with Luigi. You describe tasks as independent atomic nodes in a graph. And every task has inputs and produces outputs and dependencies. So this is a Luigi task. And what you can see here is you describe the parameters of the task, the links to other tasks that it requires or enables. It describes the process, which is basically the core algorithm, the core software that you have written to implement this task. And you have an output. And the output goes to the file system somehow. And there's a variety of file systems that are supported, pure files and HDFS, Hadoop file systems, Amazon S3 repositories. So there's a huge variety of systems. So the way you want to think about it is you start with a drive that has a whole lot of speech segments. The first task A takes this and produces a whole bunch of features that go into different file systems, and so on and so forth. So once you have an experiment that you have developed for a challenge and it works, you take the code that you developed in Jupyter notebooks and you wrap it in these tasks. And now what you have is a description that is basically a YAML file that says, I want to deploy this graph. You describe your tasks, you describe the connections, and you describe which algorithm, which parameters. So the configuration manifest looks like a bunch of YAML files. And these are readable and can have comments, at least that's what we're trying to do. And once you have that, and you put it on the cloud, then you link it to the input file system. So basically, you have the pipeline, but you have trained it on your experimental research lab, and then you give it a bunch of data, and then it runs. And what you have really is a fully documented piece of software that runs from the cloud that has basically a way of monitoring the progress. Basically, you have a dashboard of all the tasks and how they're doing. And you have a documentation of how this performed experimentally with a variety of metrics. So essentially, it's both a clean experiment, a replicatable experiment, and a clean software pipeline. So we're very excited about moving all our work to Luigi and trying it with additional data sets and trying it with our real data sets that we hope to get from the new building. and our participants. Oops. I don't know what the previous slide was. But this is the last slide. And what I hope I have discussed today is data streams are the most amazing resource we have. Given the embedding of everything with sensors, our physical bodies, even our internal bodies, we emit a wealth of information which is continuous. And through these data streams, we can observe the function of bodies and highways and buildings and software. We can analyze this function and we can recognize whether they operate in normal mode or in a faulty mode. And in some cases, recognizing the divergence from the normal mode, we can actually make control decisions. So in the case of the building, recognizing what might be going wrong, having a hypothesis of what is not appropriate, can indicate to us that we can change a set point, or we might actually send people to go and fix something that is stuck in the HVAC system. So that's the theory, and this is the theory of digital twins. You have a model that is basically extracted from the operational data of a real-world system, and through analyzing this operational data, you make hypotheses about what the status of the system is, and you can control it. And this virtuous cycle can save you money, can potentially save you energy, or can send you to a clinician sooner to recognize what to do about your declining cognitive health. Now, in order to do that, you need to do some serious experimental machine learning. We have seen, and our team has made mistakes because it's very nitpicky to do all this work. So, for example, one mistake that we have made is we did PCA on the whole data set, and then we created the faults. Hopefully everybody says, yeah, rookie mistake. Basically what happens, if you do PCA ahead of time, you calculate the important features for the whole data set. So then this information leaks from the training to the testing. So we're cheating. And it's so easy mistake to make. We have done it, other teams have done it. So to do a proper machine learning pipeline is fraught with potential mistakes, and Luigi helps you clean it up. And then this pipeline is actually deployable, and more importantly, because you have a trace of how the pipeline works, hopefully you can demonstrate that it complies with relevant quality of service contractual agreements, as well as relevant policies. So the hope is that this can be a mechanism for bridging pretty state-of-the-art research and machine learning with real-world actual control of the environment. Thank you for your patience, and
thank you very much for this very interesting, exciting talk. We are running out of time, so I would invite you to ask any questions outside over coffee, if this is okay. Eleni will be around tomorrow as well.
Yes.
So you're welcome to ask her at the coffee. Please have a coffee now.
Thank you.